You're listening to Tucson Tech Talk with your host, Aaron Moss, on Tucson Business Radio X.
Welcome, everyone, to this edition of Tucson Tech Talk with Aaron and Sherry. We're broadcasting from the Tucson Business Radio X studio in the Stewart Title building here on Broadway. This is the show where we talk about technology and business and how the two affect each other. So my name is Aaron Moss. I'm the owner of Computer Doctor of Tucson. I've been doing on-site office technology support for over 20 years, specializing in Windows platforms. We resolve PC issues, slow internet, viruses, network security, printer networking, and internet speed issues, to name a few. We also have our co-host, Sherry Baker, here with us today. She's an online strategist. She helps businesses to optimize their online presence, improve their local search ranking, and attract new clients. She's also worked with hundreds of business owners to achieve their goals by implementing the top SEO and lead generation strategies and leveraging technology tools to maximize their productivity. So thanks for being with us today as our co-host. And the theme for today's show is technology in healthcare. So with that, we have a real doctor. So I'm the computer doctor. We have a real doctor here with us today. He is a board-certified emergency medicine physician and the chief medical officer for Tucson ER and Hospital. He started his career in medicine as a volunteer firefighter and EMT basic in rural Wisconsin. From there, he went on to receive a Bachelor of Science degree in biomedical engineering and a medical doctorate from the University of Miami. He completed a specialization residency in emergency medicine at the University of Arizona. He had a particular interest in bedside ultrasound and procedures, and after years of working in corporate medicine, he is excited to be in a practice that affords him exceptional autonomy, he'll tell us what that means, and more time with his patients. So when he's not in the ER, he can be found rock climbing, mountain biking, and playing percussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, I'd like to introduce Dr. Sean Murphy to the program.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Okay. So, Tucson ER and Hospital he's the chief medical officer there. Can you tell us a little bit about Tucson ER and Hospital?
Oh, I'd love to, yeah. So we're a physician-owned, fully fledged specialty hospital registered by the state of Arizona. The scope of what we offer is anything you'd expect in an emergency room, from setting a broken bone to putting in a breathing tube in the most extreme case and everything between, whether you're an infant or you're retired or anywhere in between likewise. We're able to care for emergencies of all ages, and we're open 24/7. And any doc that you see there is part owner in the facility. So part of what we're trying to do and change is to offer a real vested interest in the experience that you have in addition to practicing the best medicine.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned corporate medicine. So what would the difference between corporate medicine and, say, maybe a doctor-owned profession? So I'm assuming that you wouldn't classify Tucson ER and Hospital a corporate entity.
No.
Okay.
Corporations get a bad rap these days, but no, it's specifically just meaning that, the lion's share of medicine is now managed by non-physicians, non-healthcare practitioners, and really that's what I mean by management structure, being the person you actually see, the person you're going to actually be treated by, owns the facility. That's the case still in quite a few doctors' offices, although that's changing as well. Part of what you're getting other than good treatment is that it's customer service too. Not that we're trying to be like Burger King, but point being,
it is kind of like customer service. You don't like to treat it that way, but how do you make money? By the patients,
Exactly.
So, if you had no patients, there would be no need for a doctor's office, an ER, or a hospital, or anything. So a lot of the same things, customer service, and it will, there's a lot of ways that can be done through technology, customer service.
Absolutely.
Patient service and all the like. But so many of those things are being taken over by technology. Now, I just want to mention, just to segue a little bit off into something in your bio.
Sure.
I was actually EMT basic
no way.
myself.
That's awesome.
In New York City. I worked for the FDNY, not during 9/11, but that was, it was a very exciting time. It's a great job for young men.
Yeah.
You're younger than I am too, so I'm not going to tell you his age because I thought that it was okay for guys to exchange ages. So, and I always thought that, if anyone ever wants to get into medicine, starting off as an EMT is a great way because you get to see the guts and all the glory and everything that you would see as a nurse or a doctor. You get all of that to see because you see people in their worst and you get to help them at the front lines.
Yeah.
So, and talking about Tucson ER and Hospital, you have, if you've ever driven down Broadway, you'll see this big sign right at Broadway and Alvernon. Mm-hmm. You'll see this big sign that says emergency. But if you would ever to go on your phone, like if there was a car accident at Alvernon and Broadway, and you want to know where the closest hospital, unfortunately, it's not on the maps yet. So technology, can help us get around or even find out where emergencies are, right?
Yeah. Although we do have our Google page up, our listing as a hospital.
So it's just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time. Well, we hope it gets on there first because emergencies in Tucson. Hey, we need our ERs, don't we? So let me ask you this question, Doctor. What has been some of the benefits of technology in medicine, such as the antibiotics and sanitation? So can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I think, as a society, we seem to think that, medicine is making great strides, which is, it's funny to even suggest that is a loaded question because if you look, really take a bird's eye view as to what modern medicine has really done for humanity or our longevity, for instance. Technology is really flashy and it's fun, and I'm a big fan myself. But does it really impact our longevity? As in how long do we live and our overall health as a population? It's really not that black and white. In fact, modern medicine has done nothing at all to extend our lifespan. Okay.
Well, they've made some advancements, and but is this something that a lot of people are concerned about? Because in your business, obviously, people want the best health care that they can get. Is antibiotics and sanitation something that a lot of people ask about?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think as a culture, I also think we tend to think that technology is just universally better, or more is better, or that intervention is better than doing nothing. But I think everyone seems to intuitively understand that we've gone a little bit too far. And interestingly enough, technology has been part of the way we've deduced that. So, for instance, everyone intuitively gets that kids need to be healthy, need to play outside, they need to get in the dirt, and they shouldn't have too many antibiotics. I think most people kind of get a sense that makes sense. But now through technology, through data analysis and research, it's not a controversy; that's a fact. So we can say confidently that's the case.
Okay. So, Doctor, you also have one of your marketing people that was able to fortunately join us today. We had an open slot here, and we're glad that she's here. Her name is Neri.
Yes, Neri Vane.
Neri Vane. Okay. So a lot of now I've actually been to the Tucson Hospital ER website. So, what are some things that maybe from a marketing perspective that you thought was important to even have on the site?
Honestly, a lot of people are looking for answers, and they're wanting to self-diagnose. I mean, You go on Google and you put in all your symptoms, and before you even go to before you even get to the doctor, you already think, oh well, this is what I have. And that seems to be very prevalent in today's society. You go to the urgent care or ER and you're already telling the physician, this is what I found, this is the research I did. And Dr. Murphy, correct me if I'm wrong, but oftentimes they're incorrect.
Yeah, that would be a statement I could get behind.
Okay. So do you think, well, I'll ask the two of you, do you think that there is a self-diagnosing where someone can actually, how far can that go? In other words, like as far as self-diagnosing at home?
Oh gosh, unless if you went to medical school, there are so many variances. I mean, I actually work for the hospital, and I couldn't even begin to tell you if you had a common cold or if you had the flu or give you recommendations on what to do. So, and I actually work at the hospital. So I couldn't even begin to tell you what you should do. I would say there's a reason why we have experts in the field that do what they do. And with everything that's going on with social media and people saying, oh, there's this whole movement on, not vaccinating, or there's a movement on not doing this or doing that for your children. I would say trust your physician, trust the people that are, the experts in the field that have done the studying, that have gone to school for all of this, because they're the ones at the end of the day that has the onus, the responsibility to, be the caretakers and the providers and the experts in the field. And unfortunately, Google puts technology and all the information in our back pockets. And in addition to playing Candy Crush, we're now looking up to see if we have cancer, and 9 times out of 10, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I have a common cold, but now I'm dying. So
yeah. How about that?
I have the opposite. I don't want to go to the ER. I don't want to go to urgent care. I actually really had a hard time last year. I got stung by a bee, and I didn't know that I was allergic. I thought that I would have known by now if I was allergic. And so I'm at work 2 days later, and my arm is swelling up, and I'm having trouble breathing. And I was like, I'm going to head down to Walgreens. I'm going to go talk to the pharmacist. And somebody said, you need to go to urgent care. I ended up in urgent care, and they said, this is the largest localized reaction I've ever seen.
Yeah, the other thing is, what is a real emergency? And even when I was in the medical field myself, we would get the 911 calls for a broken finger or even a cut on the finger, and there would be people that would be abusing the system. This was during a time where an ride to the hospital in an ambulance was free. Mm-hmm. And people took advantage of that.
Well, it still is in a sense for some people. Well, if you can't collect, it's still free.
So from now, just going back a little bit to the original quote, this over sanitation standpoint. So what when we say when we talk about technology causing harm to our species from a over sanitation standpoint, how would you answer that?
Well, I guess tie it in with what you guys were just discussing. How do you determine if it's an emergency, whether you got a bee sting or you think you have cancer or you think your child has a cold? I think it's kind of expanding on that and leading into what you're asking. It's going to be very difficult, even when, as an ER doctor, I'm looking face to face with a patient and I have all the tools of technology right in front of me to determine if this is an actual life-threatening emergency. That's in the ER, and that's my job. That's what I do day in and day out. But to convey to you a sense of how sometimes these things can be subtle, and that is, I guess, the point I'm trying to drive home with regard to that is that it can be very difficult. It's obviously very difficult if you have no medical training to know, is this an emergency? Mm-hmm. And even when you do have medical training, it requires, you have to have an open mind. You have to listen intently. You have to look at subtle physical findings. You have to use technology to help narrow down what could be going on and gauge the severity. So that's why we actually have laws in place to, for instance, the prudent layperson standard that says any individual, any layperson has the ability to determine whether or not they are having an emergency just by being in their body. No one can expect you to have to look it up first. So
Right.
That is a protection in place so that people can access emergency care whenever they feel it's needed, because there's no other way to.
Right. Well, also, people are their own captain of their own bodies. Okay,
Exactly.
so they are able to determine, I need help now.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, you have that. We kind of have that instinctively. So obviously, if you feel that it's a real emergency, and you're feeling things that you've never felt before.
Right.
Correct me if I'm.
Exactly.
Go to the ER, get yourself checked out, because these things. After the fact, something gets worse. It's easy to fix little problems, but when they become big problems, Guess what happens? Little problems become big problems.
You want to catch that trajectory right away before it becomes devastating. That's my job.
Continuing on the questioning about technology, how has the power of technology transferred the sense of responsibility from a healthcare provider like a doctor or a nurse to now being part of the system? So if someone comes in with a bee sting, okay, and it's not properly treated for whatever reason, it now becomes a problem with the system and not really based on a nurse or doctor's training. So what are the pros and cons about that?
So very good question. So bee sting is a great example because there can be just such a heterogeneity or difference in a person's response based on their immune system. In the most extreme case is anaphylaxis or life-threatening allergic reaction. And when that happens, if it's a true life-threatening reaction, it's basically there's very little hope if you don't have epinephrine on hand. So that's why you see people carrying EpiPens, right? Because the ER doc's not there. They don't have the epinephrine in the machine. So for that case, as an example, it's very important that the person takes careful responsibility to have that medicine accessible to them. And I think what you're getting at is there's a notion that because of all this technology, because of all the advances in medicine, that I don't really need to think about my health or what could happen in a life-threatening situation, or really know what to do. And the truth is that almost all of your health that is determined by your lifestyle, obviously, but and even in emergencies, your ability to take quick action until you can reach a facility like ours.
And just to jump on with what Dr. Murphy's saying, one of the big downfalls is that nowadays it doesn't matter where you're going, you're using a computer. And so many protocols are now put into a system. So even if you come in with a bee sting, it's like, okay, patient comes in, bee sting, we do A, B, C, D, E. Despite of what the patient may need, they're just now following protocols and checking off boxes, and they actually take the patient factor out of it as well. So that also, that's kind of why Dr. Murphy and the other partners decided to build the hospital that we're at, because now they have the autonomy to say, we're not checking off boxes. We're actually going to really, take a look at the patient and figure out what the patient actually needs, sans technology, and figure out if this is the best, because we're not going to give them something that they actually don't need. And a lot of times, medicine has become so automated that it's put into place in order to become efficient. But when it comes to healthcare, you're really not looking for efficiency. You're looking for effectiveness. You want it to be effective. You don't want it to be fast. And when you have someone who is more concerned about profits and margins, efficiency is the key. Get them in, get them out. And unfortunately, that's kind of where the autonomous, solutions have come in of, here's the protocol. This is what you do. You go to step A, B, C, D, E, and then when they get to Z, they should be out the door, regardless of whether that's in the patient's best interest.
Oh, yeah.
So when we talk, we have that word autonomy again. So autonomy is refers to things, automatics. You have a system in place where things are done on an automatic basis instead of someone actually manually doing something. So that kind of goes hand in hand with other shows that we've done, both on this show and the Technology Frustration and Gimmick show, which is on our website at computerdoctor.xyz. That stars just me rambling on. So if you want to hear me ramble, that's the show to listen to.
Hey, that sounds like fun.
So the comment was made in that show about something being autonomous. We have so much technology where you have one device that does 10 functions, but there are just some procedures that require their own device, their own single function thing, and that one device just does that and nothing else. There's nothing else to lock it down. There's nothing else, and this is how powerful it can be. There was another doctor. She practiced pain management. She had her own practice. And she had this practice for 50 years, and she was retiring. And I was hired in to break down her own system and to destroy all the patient files so that they wouldn't end up in the hands when the office was being disassembled. And we found this very old Linux tower in the corner in this closet. It had spider webs on. It was dirty. It probably got a little wet in there too. Still running, but it had a single function, and all it did was take patient appointments. It was just an appointment taking system. That's all it did, and it ran for 50 years on that same program. And in 50 years, it only had one service call when the power supply failed, and it was like a $20 part. They put it in, turned it back on. It continued as if nothing had happened.
What company made that? We need more of that.
We need more Linux.
Well, it wasn't anything special about the computer. It just had a single function, and it was never online too. So if you want a computer to run a really, really long time, leave it offline. Okay, you leave it offline, it'll never update. There'll never be any bad patches. There'll never be any of these things. So at the very least, even if they had a complete meltdown of their system, they still had their patient appointment schedule. At the very least, that's what they had. And they had it consistently. Excuse me. So now this autonomous type of mentality can really be applied to anywhere. Anything that we do, whether it be in a business or whether you're doing SEO or you're doing medical service, you can find little procedures to autonomize. And there's even software out there where you can actually set up a computer on a screen, even if it's a software, to automatically move the mouse, push this button, then after it pushes that button, go down 5 pixels and then 10 pixels over, click this button, click and drag that over, and you can have it just do these little things over and over every minute or every hour, and it'll just keep on doing this over and over. Then you leave that computer alone, and you disconnect the keyboard, the mouse, everything. You just let it there, and you just let it run that function over and over and over. And that's how you automate a lot of these things. Okay, you're sending it emails, it's picking up the emails, putting that information into a system, and it's just automated. Now that has nothing to do with patient care. That when we start getting into the records, which is a lot of medical, because I know medical records is a department, in many cases.
And something that technology has recently changed quite a bit.
Yeah, not for the better.
Records.
No,
okay.
I'm being partly facetious, but yeah, it has created a devastating disconnect between providers and patients.
What things are automated at the Tucson ER and hospital?
Well, I guess with regard to what you were saying earlier, I was saying autonomous in the sense of being autonomous as a provider. So making your own decisions, needing no oversight or protocolization of your practice, I guess. But technology-wise, potentially, we have a lot of things that are automated, which, I mean, obviously that makes sense as far as our, we have an EMR, a lab information system. We have an entire CLIA certified laboratory for doing on-site tests. So a lot of those processes for efficiency are automated from ordering a test, quality control, and making sure that results are accurate and reported back to the physician in a timely fashion.
So although you don't have to be efficient, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another question for you. And by the way, I'm sorry about getting my autonomous understanding mixed with your autonomous, because we're in different industries.
Definitely. Well, I mean, it was sort of an extension of what we talked about in terms of corporate management. Okay. And the goal essentially there would be to make the provider like an automaton, to play off the same word.
Okay.
Basically delivering the same exact protocolized algorithmic care to every patient every time in an efficient manner, without regard to any nuances that may arise. and that's part of the frustration, that I've experienced working in corporate healthcare for many years.
And Dr. Murphy even says that he used to receive reports that would actually show his metrics and where he compared in conjunction with others, that would actually measure every little thing as if he were a robot.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the last thing you want is a robot running a program taking care of you, because you're like, wait a minute, but I don't have that. And it's like, yes, but you showed the symptom, and so we're going to give it to you anyway.
Well, there's so much emphasis on things being automatic and robotic.
Right.
But back in the 50s and 60s, when we had these TV shows about the future and space travel, you had this big robot on wheels, and it had things sticking out, and and then when Star Wars came out, it was like, wow, they got these droids, it's amazing. They're just all this information. We have all this on the phones as well, but the reality is they do make a great support to back up someone actually doing real work. So they do have a position in all businesses. And the nice thing about it is everyone now has access to it. A lot of doctors' offices, for example, if you want to make an appointment with a doctor, they have an app. You have to go to their app. You have to load their thing. My wife goes to an urgent care, okay, and so do I. Okay, when I'm not feeling well, I said, "Okay, honey, open up the app. Let's get a thing on there."
Well, now you go to Tucson ER and Hospital instead.
So you guys do urgent care type stuff?
Anything. I mean, again, sometimes it's not always clear what the difference is, and actually, 20 to 30% of our business is actually transfers from urgent care centers who don't have the diagnostics to complete your workup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of urgent cares now are actually going into a Skype video chat type of a format where they'll actually just video chat with you or have a phone call, and they'll do diagnosis, that way, and without you physically having to go somewhere. And they'll charge you the $25 if they're able to treat you or write you a script or whatever. And if they're not, then they'll just actually refer you to the nearest ER. And the reason why a lot of them are doing it that way is because they're finding that brick and mortar isn't actually a conducive method, because there's a lot that they can't do.
Is online medicine a reality?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, geez, I have family members that call me every single day. Hey, this hurts, that hurts. Can you help me with this problem? Can you figure out, do I have cancer? Do I have a pneumonia? And, they're in Connecticut. And so, I mean, from that standpoint, there's an expectation that you can make a diagnosis from anywhere. The trouble is that making an accurate diagnosis just from a history, as we call it, or just by talking to the patient, can be pretty difficult. That's why getting a patient on site and in front of technology, essentially, radiology and laboratory studies, can really help us to then point the patient in the right direction and get him on the path to get better.
And the nice thing about that, if a technology where like Neri was saying, if someone would just have access to, say, like Skype or some sort of video chat or some sort of app where it's a combination of punching in your symptoms, like WebMD has the big, guy, and you click on, my leg hurts and I got a headache, and and then you hit talk to a nurse or talk to a physician or something like that. That information will be forwarded, and then now you have someplace to start. Okay, so we were talking about a brick and mortar, something like that. Wouldn't even require brick and mortar. It would allow doctors to, number one, work from their homes. It would allow people to not have to leave their home, because there's been a lot of studies about how people actually can recoup better at home than they would, in hospital. All kinds of studies.
Yeah, it's good to be home.
So yeah, it is good to be home. All that. So we have all these technologies that actually help us. But in a moment, we're going to talk about how technology has actually hindered or even sometimes getting out of the way.
Always fascinating and always ahead of the game. The Computer Doctor is Aaron Moss on Tucson Business Radio X.
This is Tucson Tech Talk. We're talking here with Dr. Sean Murray, Chief Medical Officer at Tucson ER and Hospital here in Tucson. And I said Murray, didn't I? Murphy. Sean.
Just
Murphy.
Remember the good doctor, the real good doctor. Way before that TV show came out.
I love doctors with a humor. It means that they know what they're doing. If you have a doctor that comes in to see you that can take a joke and tell a joke, you know you're dealing with somebody.
Well, it's good medicine.
It's good medicine.
Laughter.
So we're still here talking with him, and the nice thing about Tucson ER Hospital, they're new here in town, and this is still late of 2019 for those of you that are listening to this program on a recording for later. They're at Broadway and Alvernon. We're going to be posting their information on the show notes.
Swan. Sorry.
Did I say Alvernon? Not. Oh, that's right. Swan.
We're at Broadway and Alvernon, right?
Okay. The studio is at Broadway and Alvernon. Their hospital is at Swan and Broadway. Broadway and Swan. I am so sorry.
But I'm here now if there happens to be an emergency in the studio.
This studio is a hospital right now. We have the Chief Medical Officer there, Dr. Sean Murphy, with us. So we were talking about how technology has affected different industries, especially in healthcare. So what are some of the ways that technology has gotten in the way of good medical care?
Well, great question, and it really touches on what you just said about online medicine and essentially giving people the idea that somehow you can get away with just talking to someone over the phone, except in the most rare circumstances. Can you make an accurate diagnosis of a health problem over the phone? Again, I think we have to go back to the core of what medicine really is. And in the end, what medicine is, the practice of medicine is and always been is two human beings agreeing to meet to resolve a problem. And in the end, that's why the stethoscope was developed, because just talking to somebody wasn't exactly the most accurate way to know what was going on with their lungs. So now you can listen and hear if they're wheezing or they have a consolidation. And then now we have chest x-rays and ultrasound and MRI and CAT scan and even more accurate ways to essentially stethoscope your lungs, to put it one way. But in some sense, leading people to believe that everything can be done over the internet and that everything can be done with an algorithm, or that for all you hospital CEOs listening out there, that medicine can be protocolized or completely turned into an algorithm. It's those aspects of technology and where they have worked well in society break down when it comes to, again, two human beings meeting and resolving, things that can be very subtle when it comes to your health.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about maybe how someone can self-diagnose, we were talking about that earlier. If someone is self-diagnosing themselves, there can be dangers because that person may not be trained. They might be maybe trying to treat a symptom instead of the root cause. And a nice way to illustrate, because this comes up in computer technology as well all the time, that you don't want to treat the symptom, you want to treat the cause. So you can easily illustrate that as a leaky pipe. So you could, if a pipe is leaking, it's going to make a puddle on the floor. So you could stand by with a mop and just keep on mop. Every time it drops, you mop it up. Drop, mop, drop, mop. You're addressing the symptom, okay? But what's the real fix? You need to plug up that leak because that's causing it.
We need to put you in charge of healthcare.
Gladly.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about the physical touch aspect when you see a physician, because they can actually touch you and they can actually really feel, certain areas to see what's going on. I know that there's been many times when I've gone to the doctor and I thought I had an ear infection, and the doctor will actually feel, underneath my jawline, and they'll say, actually, you have swollen glands and it's actually a sinus infection. Well, my ears hurt and I had a fever. And so I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I felt this before, it's an ear infection. And I'm just so certain that that's what it is. And I go in and I'm like, I need this antibiotic and I'm going to feel better. And they're like, no, actually, this is what you have instead. And so there's something to be said about that aspect of it, that when a doctor's there, they can actually physically touch and see what you're describing and if it actually is. And you may describe it as, oh, I don't have a fever. And the doctor is like, you actually have a really bad fever. What are you talking about? And there are often times when people come in and they don't think they have a fever and they actually are burning up. And it's because you can't feel that. And a physician is actually going to be able to touch and feel. And over video, you can't do that. I mean, you may look at them and they may look a little pasty, they may look a little sweaty, but you can't really have that physical interaction to be able to say, yeah, you're burning up, So there's something to be said about having the actual physical interaction with someone. And that's how you receive the best quality care, is to actually physically go somewhere. And, back into what you were saying about technology getting in the way, so much of the equipment and the tools that they've created for innovation, for surgical procedures especially, has now turned a lot of things into outpatient procedures. And so now you're getting your gallbladder removed and your appendix removed and you're getting sent home without, maybe the proper care that you may have needed. Where before, if you had an appendicitis, or an appendectomy, you stayed in the hospital for a couple of days and you got, care and other things before you were sent home. And now it's, a 30-minute procedure and then you're on your way and they're just like, bye.
Yeah, although, it might be nice in some cases, especially straightforward cases. But I mean, to further the point though, I think what patients notice, and viewers out there who have accessed medical care recently, or listeners, I should say, have noticed, is that oftentimes their provider is buried in a computer. So in addition to advances in the medicine itself with the advent of electronic medical records, you notice your provider is carefully trying to navigate their medical record and may not even make eye contact with you during your consultation. So in that way, technology has sort of robbed the attention of healthcare providers and made the focus on the technology instead of on what the patient's actually saying or actually pushing on their belly to see if they have inflammation over their appendix or their gallbladder. So there's sort of a heist that took place there.
I want to just go back in time a little bit from when I was working EMT. So I would always be trying to find ways to do things quicker and to get data faster. I found a way to take a blood pressure manually with a cuff, with my stethoscope. And while I was taking their blood pressure, I was also mentally counting off the heart rate as well in one fast thing.
Boom, yeah.
And I would get the blood pressure and the heart rate at the same time. And unless the person, I'm not going to say if I actually ever always took the respirations, but you can pretty much guesstimate those, because at the same time you're talking, how are you supposed to check somebody's breath rate if they're talking? You could always wait till they're okay, hold on 1 second while I write this down, and then you're slowly, okay, that's 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. So a lot of this doesn't happen pre-hospital care, which I feel that more technology should be going there, because the front line, as well with emergency care, Okay, the more technology that can be utilized in that area will go a long way because you catch things faster.
Very true.
Exactly. So, any comment on that?
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, one of the best ways that technology in pre-hospital care has really impacted patient outcomes is in 12-lead EKG transmission. So, a 12-lead EKG. People are familiar with EKG. It's that funny electrical signal that shows that your heart is beating and is creating a sound when you're in the ER. When we do 12 leads, you put all the electrodes on your chest and your extremities, and you get a picture of how electricity is flowing through the heart. And the ability for EMTs to put that on a patient who's having chest pain and send that remotely to a local ER, like ours or one of the other shops in town, we can quickly diagnose if somebody's having a massive heart attack and get the cardiac catheterization laboratory ready. And that has been shown now scientifically to have a huge impact on that person's outcome.
Actually, that technology has been around since the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, they could be radio.
It can be transferred by radio and by fax machine. You remember fax machines?
It's scary how much we still use fax machines. Oh, we use it every single day in the hospital. It's terrible.
Medicine is one of those places, just like the law offices, they're still using fax machines.
And typewriters, they still keep a typewriter around.
Yep.
But nobody hacks it.
True.
When you're talking about HIPAA and you're talking about privacy, nobody hacks it.
It is. You're right. It's not a target. People are trying to hack your email, try to hack, hospital systems. We have all these systems that are being hacked. One of the credit bureaus was hacked. Target was hacked. Walmart hacked. All these places. But some of these older technologies, they're being hacked by younger guys than us. Younger than 32 years old, okay, and they don't know what a fax machine is. It's hard for them to hack it if they don't know what it is.
Well, don't give them any ideas.
But are you still getting spam on your fax machine?
No.
That's over with now.
I forgot about
all
that.
the spam fax.
Wow,
you come in, there'd be piles
Wow.
of paper on the floor.
Yeah, we have no spam.
Yeah, but those original EKG machines, even the portable ones, there's actually a phone line jack on those. In one of those back compartments that open up.
The one I used in Wisconsin had one of those.
Yeah, you could actually plug that in while you're at the patient's house.
In the house.
Ask them to use their phone if they have a landline phone.
Yeah.
May I use your phone? Unplug their phone, plug your EKG machine in, dial it into the hospital, and they can receive the live thing right now. Yeah. And you can say, "Yep, doctor, okay. Doctor wants you to do cardio convert." I forget when you shock on the tops of the
cardioversion.
Cardioversion. Thank you. So see, I do know what I'm talking about.
Very good. I like it.
So you can get that information from the doctor, and he can tell you what medications to push at that time because he can see the waves through the phone line. So that's actually an older technology. I don't know why they're not doing that. Are they? If you have emergencies coming into your ER, do you get patients coming in where you actually have 12-lead EKG graphs before they even get there?
Not at this time, and only because currently our inbound ambulance traffic isn't happening.
Okay.
But
you're ready to go.
Yeah, well, the first thing that happens when somebody walks in is they get if they are having any cardiac complaint or chest pain, they get a 12-lead EKG immediately, and we look at it. But the EMS system in Tucson actually is doing a pretty darn good job of capturing those 12-lead EKGs and transmitting them. I used to work at the South Campus Hospital. It's now Banner South, but before Banner took over, and we would get activations from the field for a certain type of a heart attack, and that it definitely makes a big impact on that patient's outcome.
Mm-hmm. What are your now? Since this is a technology show, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask the good doctor, how far are we from the Trek scanning machine where you
the tricorder?
How far are we away? Because they do have the thermometer that you just wipe it across their forehead,
Yeah.
and that's
Infrared.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
Okay, and we have those cool pulse oximetry machines.
Yeah.
Right. Those are pretty cool looking devices.
Yeah,
What
keep 'em in
other
my car.
things can we get from like a scanning kind of Star Trek-y? What are the possibilities of some of these other things?
Well, it's funny you ask. I didn't mention this ahead of the show, but I had a startup company called Triomi because we were going to build the tricorder.
Oh, is that right?
It subsequently has been dormant, but the idea was to have patient-owned 12-lead EKG machines that they could be taught to apply to themselves. That basically transmitted the signal via Bluetooth to their phone, and then they could transmit it to their doctor, or to a hospital, ideally. So I think the connectivity of smartphones obviously affords an opportunity to connect various devices like that, like a home-based 12-lead EKG or a pulse oximeter, or even a simple ultrasound probe as that technology develops that somebody could hold up against them and transmit that data. To like our hospital, for instance, we could triage them. Or even make diagnoses. I think the smartphone, I think has really offered an opportunity because it's essentially that fax, that gateway anywhere. The trouble is, can we create connected devices that offer these, these diagnostic modalities that can give you that instant transmission? So I see ultrasound being one of those that's definitely going to pop up here in the future where we're going to be transmitting those in real time.
So like in real time, someone can do their own ultrasound at home and transmit it to their doctor?
Oh, that's definitely going to be a thing. In fact, I used an ultrasound probe when I was working as a traveling ER doctor that actually plugged into my Android phone because I was working at these hospitals that they had poor equipment or no equipment. And so I would actually use my phone with an ultrasound probe to look at the images. Now, one step away from that is now these images are being, streamed in real time. It's not very much data. And as the probes and their configuration is changing, you could easily teach somebody to hold a probe up to their chest, adjust it down. You could use an AI algorithm to assess the image quality and then transmit that to a cardiologist. That's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
It's going to really improve the overall healthcare in rural areas, especially where they don't have, level 1 trauma centers and they don't have, places like yours available to them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, like in places where the hospital is an hour away.
Yeah.
But they have internet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
4G.
There it is. So technology can work for us or against us. Sometimes it can speed things up, make things easier, but sometimes it can also be in the way. So for the business people that are out there listening, now this type of information can be applied in many, many different types of businesses. So the kind of business where you have to, there are some things you can allocate for some computer integration, but then there are some things that just shouldn't be. They just can't, okay? Because there's just too many variables. I'm waiting for a system. If there's any developers out there listening, here's a great idea, and you tell me if this is a good idea, Doctor. To automatically read all current medical articles and all medical things. And just put it out there as a medical bot that reads and conglomerates all information and compares information, all the books, because medical information is huge. Okay, if you were to sit down and read book after book after book, you would die before you get, in alphabetical order, you would die in the seas almost. Okay, because you can't live long enough to even read all the information, but you can maybe have a computer do it. Okay, and then you can just put this information in, and it automatically updates based on the latest information, and it'll tell you what to do based on the last 5 years. Or you can do it. Okay, what's the best thing of the past 20 years? What's the next best thing from the past 10 years? Information, and it automatically reads and understands all the language from that. It reads all the studies, but it would have to be something that would have to be automated, or there would have to be some sort of governing body or people, a group of people that actually manage the thing, and they could sell it as a service. Okay, but they would all need to be doctors, physicians that are running this thing that also understand development, software development, to understand how it works. And that's where a lot of the where technology gets broken, where you have the developer and then the person that knows the subject matter very, very well. Okay.
Well, also we're dealing with an extremely complex system, and maybe with quantum computing we'll get there. But that's an awesome idea. But now think, how does a computer know whether or not to trust an industry-sponsored study, or a study that was funded by GlaxoSmithKline versus one that was done by University of Arizona, and then weighting that, whether that takes into account, is that a high level of evidence? Should we, is there a degree of bias that should be considered? How do you program that? I
do think they have a BIOS meter. So companies like Yelp are able to determine, correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, they have this magical ability to determine if something is biased or not. So I don't know, maybe they can
have to follow the money trail. You have to have a separate bot that communicates with it, that follows the money trail, where the research funding came from.
The bot also needs the tax returns of the principal investigator. And
you see, it can be done, but you see, only a computer can do it. Nobody has the time for this, So, but all this, ultimately, talks to us about how technology is here to stay, and it can be here for our benefit for many, many years to come. For any final words on why people should come to Tucson ER and Hospital here in Tucson?
Well, I'd say, in light of this discussion, that technology is a beautiful thing, and it's certainly augmented our lives in a lot of ways. But let's not forget about the human element, not only of our own lives, but of medical care. And I think at Tucson ER, we're big fans of technology at Tucson ER and Hospital. We have MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound, 24/7 full on-site lab. But what we're really trying to do is get away from that aspect of technology, which is try to protocolize medicine. We want to be really humanistic doctors that want to be establish a connection with you and treat you with respect and dignity like you should at any hospital.
Okay, very good. Neri, anything you want to add from the marketing? Actually, you guys do have can you tell us about the event that you have coming up?
We actually have a ribbon cutting that's coming up this Thursday, and that's going to be from noon to 8. The actual ribbon cutting ceremony is at 1 p.m. So if you want to see the ribbon cutting ceremony, that's at 1. We're going to have elected officials there. We're going to do the big ribbon with the big scissors, the whole 9 yards, news, everything. But we welcome the general public to come and take a look, tour our facility, and just really find out who we are. That's the big thing, is that we are so new, and this concept is brand new to Tucson. We're the only one here that operates the way we do, second one in all of Arizona. And, like Dr. Murphy said, the reason why the physicians decided to do what they do is because they wanted to truly care about the patients and put that care back into the healthcare system. And so there's, that's the reason why we do what we do. That's the reason why our hospital doesn't have wait times when you come. There's not a huge lobby with, sick patients, everything, their bedside manners. I mean, if you guys like Dr. Murphy now, you guys should, meet some of the other partners as well. They're all phenomenal. So it's a wonderful place, a wonderful team. We hope that you never need us, but if you do, we're there for you 24/7.
Okay. Dr. Sean Murphy and Neri Vane were our guests today. This is Tucson Tech Talk with Aaron and Sherry. We're so thankful that all of you were able to join us today. We're going to be posting information on our show board for the Tucson ER and Hospital. I'm going to be at this. I'm going to try my best to be there at the event so you can see myself, maybe Sherry, and Dr. Murphy and Neri Vane as well. So we hope that you were able to pick up something out of the show today. We're going to be broadcasting in another week. We're going to be, we haven't quite finalized the guest lineup for next week's show on the 18th. We encourage you to listen live. Please send us your comments. And if you, for everyone that gives us a comment, we're going to either give you a shout out on air or have some sort of acknowledgement online. So please continue to listen to us on any of your podcast mediums. This is Tucson Tech Talk with Aaron Moss and Sherry. We wish you good technology, what is my tagline? I don't even know. Have a good day, everyone. This is Tucson Tech Talk signing off. Have a good day.